Good evening. Welcome to the latest live edition of Last Part Boxing. Tonight we're joined as ever by Sean. Good evening, Sean.
Evening.
And normally I go Z-list to Andy, but I don't even know where I'm going with this, Andy, because you can't even press a button these days. So we're joined by Andy as well. Hi, Andy.
Just to warn everybody that's on the live, that's watching at the minute, Cole's on one tonight. So I apologise in advance.
Oh, we can hear you, by the way. That's a good start.
Yeah, terrific.
So let's kick on with the show then, because there's a lot of cards this weekend. Great weekend for boxing with all the promoters and the broadcasters going live in the UK. So, Andy, over to you. We're going to look at the DAZN card first.
Very busy, mate. Really busy show. So, don't really know where to start with the Matchroom show, but I think we'll go with the two debutantes on Matchroom, Mark Dickinson and Pat McCormack. Obviously, these have come over from
Rebello.
Very good acquisitions, these for Matchroom. Pat McCormack's going to be an absolute star. And Mark Dickinson's not far behind. They've both got a great coach. Obviously, you know, they're in with... well, let's go with Mark Dickinson first. He's only had 3 pro fights. He's going in with someone that's not had much more experience than him. Gideon Onyenin.
Good effort.
Something like that.
Maybe I'd rather you turn the volume down for that attempt, but moving on.
So, first and foremost, Carl, what do you think of them signing with Matchroom?
Well, first of all, you've got to say props to Probellum, haven't you? Because by all accounts, Probellum were very instrumental in them going over. They recognised it was a great opportunity for both the lads from the northeast. So first of all, I'd like to say props to Probellum.
Yeah.
I think they're both in for a stellar career. I think it's an exciting time for the northeast. And let's be honest, they've had a few flatter to deceive up that way, haven't they? Thinking about Lewis Ritson and people like that. He's talking about Eddie's talking about these two selling out enough tickets for St. James's Park somewhere down the line. So he's obviously got big hopes for them. I think it's a very good acquisition. I think it's a much needed acquisition from DAZN because it was going a bit stale. So they needed to make a bit of a statement. So no, I think it's a very good acquisition for DAZN, and I think they'll light up the channel in years to come.
You make a very good point there, mate. About you know, you don't always do at all, but you make a good point this time. I'll give you this one about DAZN going a bit flat at the minute. Not just on fighters they're signing, but on shows, on losing out on purse bids. Seems like 2022's just not been their year for whatever reason. I mean, we touched on it previously, haven't we? Has funding been tied a little bit?
Yeah, I think if you'd have asked DAZN in January, they would have expected a bit more bang for the buck in the UK market by December this year. So I think purse strings have been tightened a little bit. But you got to remember, Frank Warren, I don't always agree with Frank Warren, makes a very good observation when he says, you know, he can draw parallels to Box Nation in terms of, you know, it's a boxing related channel. I know they show other sports in other territories, but in the UK at the minute, it is purely boxing.
Yeah. And
he said Box Nation was very expensive and it was very difficult to break even. So it sounds like Frank Warren's about on the bang on the book.
Well, he didn't have the money bankrolling it, did he? That's the big thing. He was relying on subscriptions, and he probably didn't get what he thought he was going to get. So Pat McCormack's in with Christian Andino, who is currently 16-5-2, so a bit more experience, but he's lost four of his last 5 fights, which probably tells you where he is in his career.
Let's be honest, Andy. Let's call a spade a spade. They're not going to bring these two lads over to DAZN and then give them a barnstorm, are they? They're going to give it. No. They're going to match them with fighters that are going to make them look good.
Yeah. Of course. Well, of course. Don't it happen to all of them? It happens on every platform, mate. Sean, we've got Cole's opinion on these two. What's your thoughts on them going forward? Where do you think they can go?
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit for them, really. I mean, I guess in a way I'm surprised that they left Pro Bellum because although that wasn't on the upward trajectory, I think that they probably could have stayed there to get more established, really, because I guess that's why they signed them in the first place. But I think with Matchroom, I guess the hope for them is they'll be on a few domestic shows because, let's be honest, they've been sparse so far. So I think in the regards to those is they want to be quite active, and then hopefully in the next 12 to 18 months they'll be household names.
Sean, I don't know whether you can hear this call, but you're
getting a bit of interference, Sean, on your audio for some reason.
Right, I'll see if I can.
Maybe turn the volume down a touch. That might stop it.
Yeah, that's the answer to everything in Andy's eyes. The volume button.
Okay, moving swiftly on, because I'm not going to live that one down tonight.
Sorry, what did you say?
Chef Clark's in against. Now I'm getting a bit of feedback. Chef Clark's
I've been feedback.
Jose Ulrich, who's got quite an extensive career. He's had 22 fights, 17 wins. Not a massive knockout ratio. Chef Clark's not really had any sort of a push, has he, Cole?
Well, I watched him in Nottingham last time out, what should have been the Lee Wood fight.
Yeah.
I wasn't overly impressed, to be honest with you. I think he's in danger of being one of them amateurs who doesn't turn over well, to be honest. He's talks that he's going to be a big star in the UK. Maybe he's that sort of fighter who drops his levels to his opponent. I don't know. But I was a little bit underwhelmed with him in Nottingham, Andy, if I'm being honest.
Well, this opponent is in with, Cole. Not that long ago was in with Mateusz Masternak. Lost in 7 rounds. So perhaps a bit more of a durable opponent than Chev's been in with recently. This might be good for him to get in some rounds.
Yeah.
How do you see the fight going?
I think highly. I think Chev Clark. Right. I think he'll do what he's supposed to do. If I'm honest, Andy. I think he'll stop him round 8 or 9. I draw parallels with Fraser Clark. You know, he's an Olympian as well, but he just needs them rounds. He needs to get in with an opponent. He's still fairly new to the pro game, and we always talk about how different it is amateur to pro. So he's still learning, isn't he, in some degree about the pro game. So he'll do. I just hope he gets rounds in the bank, and I think he will with his opponent.
Okay, I don't know what order the top 4 are going to go out in. So I think we'll go with Sandy Ryan next. Again, Sandy Ryan's got balls the size of watermelons. This is a seriously dangerous fighter for a 6th fight. She's done it once already. Erica Farias, she shouldn't have been anywhere near Erica Farias in a 3rd fight.
I wouldn't tell her she's got balls that size, mate.
Mate, I don't care what anybody says. Anyone that's only had 5 fights going in against a 2-time world champion.
I think she gets beat here.
No, I don't, mate. I think she's that good.
Beat.
And she's moved on so much.
I think she's limited.
That first Farias fight, mate, came too soon. But she had the guts to take it. She then, not only does she have to suffer that first loss, but she picks Farias again straight away. Because she knows she knows that she maybe didn't put her best performance in the first time. So she comes out and basically wins just about everything in that second.
Well, you're going to find out how good she is because this Sanchez has only been beat by the best, hasn't she?
Absolute best as well. Chantel Cameron.
We're going to find out how good she is.
Jessica McCaskill, points. Katie Taylor, although it was in 2017, points.
Well, I'll give you my prediction now before you ask me. I think she gets beat Sandy Ryan here. I think she gets beat. I think it's a fight that's coming to her there.
No, she's well, obviously your opinion, mate. Sean?
Yeah, I think with her, she's one that's always wanted to sort of be a few steps in what she is, and I think unfortunately for her is she's not willing to put the time in to really sort of go through the levels. Really, sort of hearing interviews with her and Clifton Mitchell in particular, I think this could be sort of one step too far for her at this moment in time.
You're shaking your head,
I think she'll win.
Yeah, I do as well, mate.
But we'll see.
I mean, even if she does lose, she's not losing any ground because it's a fighter that on record she should be getting beat by. You look at the opponents this girl's been in with, and like Cole said, she's only been beat by the best, and she's only been stopped once.
I feel like they're rushing Sandy Ryan, though. I take the point where I think it was Sean who said she's not prepared to go through the levels. She's trying to run before she can walk, in my opinion. You can't have too many of them defeats.
I hear what you're saying, Cole, but if there's not the talent at the lower level for her, why waste your time?
Yeah, but we don't know there isn't, is there? I think this is aggressive matchmaking, in my opinion.
Yeah, but she's beat Erica Farias, who's at fringe world level anyway.
Yeah, but I don't think she's particularly great in that fight either. She didn't set the world alight for me. She won it, don't get me wrong, but it's a very close fight again.
No, it wasn't. The second fight wasn't close, Cole.
No, I just don't. I just think she's got limitations in my view, and I think she's going to get found out again.
Well, again, you know, boxing is all about opinions. I think it's going to be a very close fight because this girl's world class. There's no two ways about that. Like you say, she shouldn't be beat by the best. I think Sandy Ryan steps up.
So do you think Sandy Ryan can hang with any of them ones who she's been beat by?
No.
Because she's going to have to be in and around that level to win this fight, isn't she? Because this girl took them fighters close.
But it's styles, isn't it, as well? That's what you got to think about. Styles make fights. Sandy Ryan's got a different style to a Jessica McCaskill, for example, or a Katie Taylor.
So Joe in the sidebar says, I agree with Carl, don't really rate Sandy Ryan. I think she's a bit Marmite with boxing fans.
I think you're sleeping on her, the pair of you. I really do. I think she's much better than you're giving her credit for. She is being aggressively pushed. And there's no two ways about that. But Clifton Mitchell knows what he's doing. He won't be putting her in these fights if he didn't think she could win. He's not throwing her to the wolves. He wouldn't do that. It don't suit him to do that, does it?
I know, but there is different level. We're not saying she's being thrown to the wolves. You're just saying she's not good enough to beat Sanchez. There is a difference in that. Just because you can't beat it, don't mean she's being thrown to the wolves, does it?
Okay, well, I think she can beat her. I think it goes to points. I think it'll be close, but I think she beats her. Sean, are you going along the lines of Cole then? Do you think she loses?
Yeah, I just think for her in particular, she sort of seemed to be rushed out of all the female fighters out there. She don't really have a build behind her, I don't think, and I think they're sort of throwing her in the deep end too early.
Okay, let's again, everybody's opinion. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, props to her for jumping in with these girls, because other fighters who shall remain nameless, who have had 20 odd fights and are out of action at the minute, could well take a leaf out of Sandy's book.
Do you know what? He's not even relevant. He hasn't even got a boxing license, but yes, still bring him up every single week.
You can argue he's never been relevant, to be honest.
Well, you make him relevant.
Just saying, props. As much as I don't think she's going to win, you can't take it away from her that she's jumping in with this level of opponent.
You're a secret fanboy, aren't you?
Clearly.
Moving swiftly on. Craig Richards. Obviously, he was in that great fight with Boazzi last time out. Close fight. He's in with Ricard Bolotniks. Again, someone really experienced. This is going to be a really close fight, I think. I rate Richards, though. I don't think he's quite world level, but he's definitely top end European level. I think he wins the fight, but I think it goes to points. He's not a big banger, Craig, but I do rate him. I think he's a decent quality fighter. Sean, how do you see this fight going?
Yeah, I think he could well lose. I think the Bivol fight flattens him very, very much because I think Bivol was nowhere near the level he was when he beat Richards, and I think with Richards, he hasn't really ever shown me that he's a sort of world level fighter. I think he's sort of European level at the top. I think I would give him that, but I just think as the higher level he performs, I think he'll come unstuck, and I can see him losing this weekend.
Carl?
I'm really torn on this fight. I think this is a very, very close fight.
Yeah, it's a good fight.
Who's this?
Craig Richards.
I think this is the fight of the weekend. I really do.
It's a close fight, Lee. Who do you think is going to win this one, Lee, before I give my opinion?
I like Spider a lot. I've got a lot of time for him. So, yeah, I think he's going to win.
I think this goes to points. And I think Richards would take a close points decision.
I mean, you look how Boazzi did against Bolotniks, and then obviously Richards and Boazzi was a good fight, real close. And you look with the Bivol fight as well with Craig Richards. He put in a brilliant performance.
I'll make the same point. Bivol was in neutral against Richards. Anyone who tells me that Richards could have potentially won that fight is nonsense. Because I think Bivol was just coasting. I think if you put it on him, it'd be there's levels, isn't there? And Bivol's levels above Richards.
But he still hung in there with him, didn't he?
Yeah, Bivol often operates as I believe he fights to the level of his opponent. If I'm brutally honest with you, don't
put it this way: how do you think Bolotniks would have gotten against Bivol?
He gets beat in 2 rounds.
Yeah,
there you go.
I just think Richards would take it on a close point. It's going to be a barn. It's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a barnstormer.
Yeah, that's going to be a back and forth fight, I think.
Obviously, with the important belt, which is a WBA International Light Heavyweight as well on the line, which we all think is a great important belt, obviously, that'll add to the mix.
He needs this, though, doesn't he? I think he
I
needs
don't
to win.
I don't know where Richards goes if he gets beaten this one, to be honest with you. I think it might be time to hang up the gloves.
I think if he wins this one, he probably gets another good few undercard fights out of Matchroom. A bit like Ted Cheeseman always used to get on a few cards, didn't he? Because he always put in good performances, and same with Dave Allen and stuff like that. If you can put yourself in those positions, which a good performance this weekend would do. Yeah, there you go. And he could easily become one of those household name undercard fighters. Like you go into a fight and Craig Richards on the undercard. Instantly you think, oh yeah, it's quite a good card, quite a good bill. If he wins this Saturday, he's in that position, I think.
Are you on commission with Craig Richards or something? That was a very good sales pitch you put in.
I've got a lot of time for Craig.
He probably needs it to stay relevant.
Yeah.
He probably needs a win to stay relevant.
But Bolotniks, you could argue Bolotniks, it could be his little bit of a breakout fight if he was to win. So there's a lot on the line.
It's a good fight. It's a really good fight.
So Joe in the sidebar says Richards is becoming a gatekeeper. I don't think he works enough to win this.
That's the only thing with Craig Richards. He's such a laid-back character, and he's got such a laid-back style. I think he does more than than you actually think. But because of his fighting style, it's as though gives the impression like he's not bothered. But
he does take rounds off though, don't he? Which is he does take rounds off.
Okay.
But anyway, let's go on to the next fight because that excites me as well.
Yeah, this to me could be the fight of the night. Fabio Wardley against Nathan Gorman for the British heavyweight. We'll come to you firstly.
Again, I know who Carl
Lee, I told you, if you go one way on this one, I've got a little eject button on my computer. So if them words come out of your mouth.
No, I think it's a close fight, but I can't call it. It's difficult to call. Gorman's last performance was good, wasn't it? But
We was there live, by the way. We was live at that event, weren't we?
Were you at that one, were you? Fury was at that one, wasn't he?
Briefly, yeah.
Yeah, for about 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Just to get the TV appearance
He was
in.
He was there. He basically turned up. He turned up as Gorman walked in the ring and left before Gorman left the ring.
So Ryan O'Rourke, good evening, Ryan. Again, sitting on the fence as ever. So Ryan says, how is Gorman 3-1 to beat Wardley? Basically, they are two bare knuckle fighters.
Wow, come on, Ryan.
Bit harsh, that Ryan.
The reason Gorman's favourite is because Fabio Wardley hasn't been in the second half of a fight yet, has he?
No, I think Wardley's favourite because Gorman's at 3-1.
Well, I don't understand that if that's the case.
Good odds.
I don't understand that. Gorman's the one with the experience. Wardley's not been tested. Go on there, okay. Who's Wardley been in with?
I don't know, but I think he picked me up.
Molina.
I think he picked me up.
A 96-year-old Molina that didn't want to take a shot. That's who he's been in with. He was there for a payday. Come on, let's have it right.
Andy, I'm telling you, his last opponent picked me up from Marcus Square.
I mean, you got to give, just joking aside, you got to give Wardley props because he's come off of the white collar circuit, hasn't he? So you got to give him a little bit of credit to have got to the position he's got to in the pro ranks. I mean, British level is no mean feat.
No. Let me just pick these comments up in the side before I lose them. So Joe says, I like Wardley, but he is limited technically. To beat Gorman, he thinks he'll beat Gorman mid-round. Sorry, let me try again. I like Wardley, but he's limited technically. To beat Gorman. Mid-round stoppage for Gorman. That's what he's going for. Ryan O'Rourke said Wardley was in with the bin man. So, yeah.
Again, Ryan, it needs to be taken into context. He's only had, he's had 14 fights, but he's come off of the white collar circuit, so he's learning as he's in the ring.
So Ryan says, do you give him credit or Eddie manufacturing a bum into decent paydays?
Do I give Eddie Earn credit?
So I think what he's saying is, do you give Fabio Wardley credit or do you give Eddie Earn the credit for pushing him into decent fights for decent paydays? I'm interpreting that, Ryan, so I hope he did a good job.
He's got whatever. I mean, Eddie Earn likes these projects, don't he?
Dave Allen.
Yeah, exactly. He likes these projects where it's like a Rocky story, isn't it? Bringing somebody out from out of nowhere, you know. I don't think Fabio Wardley has the boxing nous to beat Gorman. I think the other thing as well, in my opinion, is he admires his work too much.
Ben Davidson's in his corner now, isn't he?
What, in Gorman's?
No. Is it
Wardley?
Yeah. Let me bring Sean in then. So Sean, give us your opinion on the fight, and then I'll finish off with my opinion.
Yeah, I think Wardley will win purely because I think it will come down to the athleticism of him and who wants it more. I think Gorman's problem is he's only good for probably 5-6 rounds, and if it goes beyond then, I think the fight will be well beyond his capabilities. I can see Wardley winning on points, believe it or not, and I think that's how I think it will go.
I
tend to agree with you, mate.
I think Nathan Gorman is as focused as he's ever been in his career.
Motivated, the word.
He's in the best shape he's been in his career. I think something's finally switched in his head, and he's now taking the fight game seriously.
We basing that on just that last performance, or
no,
like
he just looks better. His whole persona and attitude is different.
Let me throw another argument into the mix for this Wardley fan club that we got going on here.
I sound like the Gorman fan club, to be honest.
So Wardley, I mean, Gorman's been there and done it on the live shows. Not saying he's always won, but he's been in large shows. Level of opponent, Gorman's got a better level of opponent than Wardley, clearly. Again, not always winning. He's a better boxer than Wardley. And you don't know how good Wardley's stamina is because he's never had anyone put it on him.
Nope.
I think Gorman's going to ask Wardley some serious questions in this fight that he's never had to answer before. So and the question regarding stamina, I agree with Ander. I think a motivated Nathan Gorman's a problem for better fighters than Wardley in that heavyweight division. So I'm going to go. I think Gorman's going to stop Wardley. I think Wardley's going to be blowing out of his backside by round 10 because he's had to work harder than he's ever had to work. So I'll go for Nathan Gorman to stop knock him out in round 10.
Are you basing Daniel Dubois being the best opponent here, though?
Well, probably, if I'm honest. Yeah. But measure that up against Wardley's opponent, Sean.
Yeah. Well, I don't rate Dubois, really. I mean, I think most of the top 10 in Britain beat him, really.
Does Wardley beat him?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, come on, Sean.
Being honest.
I'm not sure about that.
Come on.
I just don't rate Dubois at all, really. I just think he's a one-trick pony in the heavyweight division.
He's much more than that now. He used to be a one-trick pony.
I think a couple of comments to the sidebar, lads. Just going to pick them up.
I think a lot of the Dubois hate goes back to the Joe Joyce fight.
Just 1 minute. Sorry, Sean. Wardley ain't been past 5 rounds, but now he can do it for 12 man when he Gorman late KO. I don't like agreeing with Ryan. Joe says, I'm not sure Wardley's done more than 5 rounds. I think he'll be in trouble getting into the second half of the fight. So again, people aren't sure about Wardley's stamina. Joe,
he's from a rugby background, though, isn't he?
Sean, can you see the comments in the sidebar, Sean? Can you read them? No.
No.
So Joe says Sean needs VAR testing. Can we have a B
I'll be on the phone
sample?
ready tomorrow, don't worry.
Can we have a B sample as well, fella?
You have to wait a few months.
Yeah, you don't just have to wait a few months, you have to get your own doctor involved as well.
Anyway, I don't fancy being sued, so let's move away from that topic.
We didn't name names.
Quite split then on the old Wardley versus Gorman cop.
Let's see if the next fight's split.
I wouldn't imagine so.
Now we all think Franklin's going to win, don't we?
Dillian White back out to prove something, I think, to people against Jermaine Franklin. So
winner fights AJ.
Cole's got a bit of a running argument going with a certain Canadian boxing show that think all the stars in the near future are coming from North America in the heavyweight division. Jermaine Franklin's meant to be one of them, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. I'll come to you first.
I think he'll get humbled.
He's not looking in the best of shapes, is he?
No, sorry, my son's just running to the room.
All right, buddy.
Ask his opinion. It might make more sense than Andy.
Who do you think's going to win, Dillian White or Jermaine Franklin? You don't know, no. He's not clued up with it yet. But yeah, I think
Just like his dad.
I think Dillian White knockout. I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I think it'll be quite early as well.
You reckon early, do you?
I do, yeah.
I can see it almost being like a Anthony Joshua Charles Martin kind of fight.
I think, yeah. I mean, Franklin's maybe a little bit better than Charles Martin. Charles Martin, in my opinion, is the worst heavyweight champion of all time.
At the time, but since he's not been as bad, has he? But
Who's
yeah,
he fought
at the time, he's had quite a few fights since, hasn't he? He started propelling himself back up with the WBA. But yeah, I don't see Franklin being too much of a threat, and I think the whole talk of him getting the AJ fight on the back of this, we know that's only just to sort of sell pay-per-views for this Saturday, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah. Prediction then, Carl?
Well, just before I move on to the fight, looking at his opponents in Anthony Joshua, I think using the word build himself back up might be a stretch. People like Byron Poley, obviously household names, Michael Marone, Gregory Corbin. So I think the sooner we get off Charles Martin, the better, to be honest with you. So coming on to Saturday's show, yeah, I think you can only look at Dillian White, can't you? I think he's tailor-made for White. I think that left up will finish it, probably. And then it's all on for an AJ fight, probably March, April next year. So I'm going Dillian White. I think you'll get a few rounds out of him, actually. So I'm going about round 6.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Dylan will win as well. I think my worry with him though is he's changed trainer, doesn't he? So it's going to be curious to see how he gets on. I'm hoping for his sake he gets it done in sort of 5 rounds because as we know, as the fight goes later on, he tends to struggle.
Do you want to pick that comment up from Joe in the sidebar?
Yeah, I think Joe might be sat next to Ryan on a sofa somewhere because Joe's come out with a strong statement. So Joe says Dillian Bum City White landed 1 body shot in 6 rounds against Fury, and he's putting in the bin. So a little bit strong that, Joe, because it is Tyson Fury, against him when all said and done.
Just one question on that call, on that fight in particular. This will sound like an odd statement, but do you think the occasion got to Dillian White? The old build-up, everything.
It was a strange build-up, wasn't it? You just didn't see him in his aggressive self, did it?
No.
But I just think it might have been the job in hand because it's all about levels and he's just too limited. He watched the show back from when we started. I've said all along that Dillian White wasn't good enough at world level. He ain't elite. So I just think he didn't really believe in himself going into the fight, is my honest answer.
Okay. Well, I'm going Dillian White round 4. When Lee comes back on, we'll get his opinion, but we'll move on. Which one do you want to take next, mate?
Just 1 minute. So we'll do the boxer one next. Obviously, they go on Sunday. So a full weekend of boxing this weekend at the Ali Palais. I'm only going to go 4 fights down on this card because
a lot of it's not been confirmed yet, has it?
Yeah, that's right. So we'll start with Sam Giley against Sean Robinson for the English super welterweight title.
I've got it down as British super welterweight.
No, it's English. Sam Giley's the English champion, mate.
All I would say is that they're putting a lot of emphasis on this Giley, aren't they? You know, boxer, as much as boxer can, are giving him a bit of a push. So they obviously think there's levels to this lad. I've not seen a great deal of him, I'm not going to lie. So I'd expect Sam to come through this one, to be honest with you.
There's one fight on particular on this card that I'm really looking forward to. Is obviously the Lerone Richards one, but obviously I'll take the other guys' views on this fight.
Start with you, Lee. Do you know much about Sam Giley and Sean Robinson?
No, not gonna lie, I don't.
No.
Well, you know what I like about this is a boxer card, and Cole Greaves match makes for boxer. He understands small or show level fights, and in reality, this would normally be a small or show. This fight, so this will be match made by Carl. But this will have been match made by Carl, I would think. And if that's the case, it will be a really good fight. These often are. I expect this to go some rounds. We're going to see how good Sam Giley actually is, because I know there's a couple of fighters from our local area, Leicester, Nottingham, that are itching to get in with Sam. They're knocking on the door at that level. So we'll see, and you might find one of them fighting in a very soon future, I would think.
Couple of comments on this side. Ryan O'Rourke says, "How ain't the boxing card pay-per-view?" And Joe says he doesn't understand that it's not pay-per-view either. So it's just that's tongue-in-cheek.
Are them two both sat in a pub somewhere after about 10 pints? Joe,
Yeah,
you're on tonight, mate. What's wrong with you?
I mean, there is a. I mean, the Zim versus Charlton fight's not a bad one, but it's not a great card.
It's not the best card in the world, is it?
No.
This into bad scrap though. At cruiserweight, vacant British cruiserweight title, and Mikel Laurel against David Jameson.
Yeah, vacant title. Yeah,
it's not a bad scrap. This. I'd expect Mikel to come through, maybe get a stoppage as well. He's got more experience.
I like the role. I like him. I think he's a quality fighter.
Yeah, he's got a decent knockout percentage as well. But you are right. This is not the strongest of cards. I've got a feeling.
I mean, I go in on boxer quite a lot, but I think it's quite a clever ploy to put it on a Sunday night.
Of course it is. Of course it is. There's nothing else on. Of course it is. They couldn't have put it on even if
Sunday afternoon, isn't it?
Yeah, 3 p.m. Is it 3 p.m. the mate?
No one's gonna watch that.
Even if there was only one other show on Saturday night, they wouldn't have put this up against one of those other two cards because the other two cards are much stronger, and no one would have watched it. I think it's very clever putting it on in the afternoon. They're not going up against anything else, then, are they?
Wow.
Well, it's the big game in the World Cup between Croatia and Canada, isn't it? So they've got that to contend with.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah,
Don't mention
the
Canadians, Sean. Sean, don't mention the Canadians. You'll get Twitter trolls after you.
Okay, moving swiftly on then to probably the two headlining fights. I have a feeling they're going to make the Adam Azim Ryan Charlton the main fight.
That is the main fight.
It shouldn't be.
That is the main fight.
It shouldn't be. It should be Lerone Richards. I'll tell you for why.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll tell you for why, because Adam Azim is going to beat Ryan Charlton in about 2 rounds. It's that fight is such a mismatch. It's unbelievable.
Did you not think he looked good against Chima?
No, I don't.
You don't? Really?
No.
Oh, he did.
A 3-round fight. That's his style. Of course he's going to look good in a 3-round fight.
Why? Why is he, of course, going to look good in a 3-round?
That's his style. He's an aggressive, come forward fighter. And when he's only fighting 3 rounds, he can put it all in for all 3 minutes of each round. He ain't going to be able to do that against Adam Azim. He'll walk onto one, mate. I'm telling you. He'll walk onto one and get laid out in 2 rounds. It's going to be the shortest headlining fight for a long while, honestly. It's Lerone Richards, Zach Chelly should have been the headliner. Lerone Richards is a terrific fighter.
Yeah, I agree.
Real top quality.
That Jelly won't get near Richards. You won't get near him. He'll get out.
But the fight will last, Carl.
It'll last. It'll be a one-sided affair, but it'll last because Richards hasn't really got the pop to knock Jelly out. But I would go as far to say he'll school Jelly. It's all about levels.
Just going back to the Adam Azim, Ryan Charlton. I'm assuming you don't feel that the fight will go that way.
I'm not saying that. I don't think I've seen a lot of people sort of discrediting him this week, and I agree. He's a special talent, Azim, and I think he is going to knock him out. But I mean, Charlton's a good step up, and I think it's the next run on the ladder, basically. But I don't. I've seen a few of his fights. Obviously, he was on a few of the matchroom cards at like Fight Camp and stuff like that. And he's always put in a decent performance, I thought.
This is Ryland Charlton's last throw of the dice for me. If he wants a serious career in the sport.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I did think he looked good against Chima. I'm not going to lie. And you say 3 rounds, he had to get through 2 other fights to get to that night.
Yeah, but if you look at the experience he's got compared to the other people that were in the competition, mate.
Well, there you go. You've just answered it yourself, haven't you? He's got more experience, so it is a step up for Azim. One, I think he'll come through very, very comfortably. But
I don't think
it's a terrible matchup for him at this point in his career.
It's not a terrible matchup, but it's very clever because he isn't going to have to go looking for Charlton.
No.
And Azim carries some serious power.
Let me just pick a comment up by Ryan's side. It did make me chuckle. So Ryan says, show this card to the sheiks in Qatar. It'll even make them get pissed and let the fans drink. Allegedly.
It's good to see Lerone Richards out there.
I think Charlton would give Azim some rounds, I do. I think he'll get some rounds out of him.
This may be a awful take from me, but with Azim, do you think that boxer are putting all the eggs in one basket? I mean, to a certain extent, Sky done that with Lewis Ritson, and we see how what happened to him. So, do you think that could be the case?
I'm not overly impressed with the year that boxers have had, if I'm honest with you.
Really?
No. I've been quite critical on the show. I worry about these fighters that has got like Liam Smith and people like that, whether he can actually deliver a genuine world title fight. I've got to give him props for what he's done in the female boxing. Fair enough.
All I'd say is look at where Boxer was 12 months ago and look at where they are now. Yeah. They've had a phenomenal year in terms of growth.
Draw that comparison then. What does that look like? So where were they 12 months ago?
Yeah, but exactly. You look at them now. Obviously, they only just come from Sky 12 months ago.
Can you demonstrate that progression to me in fight terms?
Well, they are attracting. I mean, 12 months ago, would they have attracted Lawrence Okolie?
But they haven't got Lawrence Okolie yet. We don't know that.
They want to attract Paul Smith.
We do know they've got Okolie.
Liam Smith.
They wouldn't have attracted Paul Smith either, would they? Sorry, Liam Smith.
Liam Smith.
Mm.
Yeah, Liam Smith. But I just think proof's in the pudding for me in terms of can he deliver them big fights.
He's not at that point yet to be able to do that though, is he? They are there for growth to bring British talent in.
Promise Liam Smith something though, Lee.
Well, we know who he's fighting next, don't we?
Obviously, but he's got to have made certain promises. Whether that's his promise, I'll be surprised if it is, because I'm sure Liam wants a world title.
I don't know if that's past him now or not. I don't know.
I wouldn't imagine so.
I think Frank Warren had a better year in his first year of Box Nation than what Sky have had with Boxer.
Oh, come on.
I don't know about that.
How many shows this year have done 2 million views?
But don't forget that they put that on all of their free to air Sky channels as well. So it wasn't just Sky Sports.
So what's stopping BT doing something similar? What's stopping DAZN going to a BBC?
Well, they have. I mean, Scott DAZN's got a contract with the BBC. That's why they put the Taylor and Serrano fight on BBC Three on the Monday. So I think we'll see more of that.
Yeah, that's not on the night though, is it?
The point I'm making is none of these other massive promoters had a show that did 2 million views. None of them.
I'm gonna have to jump off. I'm gonna try and jump back on in a bit,
No
guys.
worries.
Okay, no
I'll
worries,
probably
mate.
stop.
None of them did them views. Now you can say that it was because of the narrative around the show, but no one else did it, did they?
Yeah, but you know,
What did Katie Taylor versus Serrano do, numbers wise?
Not 1 million, maybe.
1.5, wasn't it? But I guess with that's why it's more impressive because the zone's quite niche, isn't it, compared to Sky Sports? So I guess Eddie Hearn gets the sort of tip of the hat when that's concerned.
No, I don't agree with that, mate. I'll tell you for why. Because the show that was on Sky was an all female card, and there's still a lot of boxing fans that won't watch female boxing. I don't understand why they won't, but they don't. So to still get 2 million views when you've still got that negative view about female boxing is tremendous. It's tremendous, mate. They're growing the female side of boxing to another level. Eddie Hearn took it so far with Katie Taylor, and Sky are just taking it and running with it.
I'm not sure you can give Sky the sole praise for taking it to that next level, because obviously Katie Taylor versus Serrano had something to do with that as well. And you have
Did I not just say Eddie Hearn took it so far?
But then you said boxer, then what? Did you say boxer then took it on?
Sky and Boxer are taking it to another level.
So I'd argue that a lot of people are watching them fights on Sky Sports regarding the other fighters because of the fights that Katie Taylor's had.
Yeah.
And Serrano. So there's more than just Sky and Ben Shalom to praise for female boxing. Your mate Jake Paul needs to mention as well, because he's done a cracking job with Serrano.
It's about the only thing he has done right in boxing.
But he's done it, hasn't he? The payday she's earning now to what she was earning before she joined him.
Yeah, no, that's credit where it's due. I don't have a problem with him being a promoter, mate. If he wants to stick his money into promoting boxing, that's absolutely fine. He needs to do that and stay away from putting.
I almost separated with boxer. I think he's done a brilliant job with the female fighters and props, but on the male side, I still think he's got a lot of development to do with that stable. I still think he's got quite a bit of work, and that's where my questions would be. Let's see what the next 12 months on, and let's see what quality the cards become.
That's a fair statement. I'll give you that.
Do you think he's almost getting too bigger headed, really, with the sort of success he's had with it so far?
Say that again. Sorry, Sean.
Do you think he's almost getting too bigger headed with it already?
No, I don't at all. No. I don't think he's that type of character, mate. I think he's taking it all in his stride. He's learning on the job, really, for such a young fella at that sort of level. He's really been chucked in the deep end, hasn't he? I think he's doing a very good job, considering the difference between when he first come on to Sky to now in front of the camera is night and day. He's so much more confident now. I think he's doing a good job, mate, and I do believe of the three promoters in the UK, I do believe that he's more likely to get fights made with the other promoters than the other two are.
Yeah. Did you see the Frank Warren's son or nephew?
Well, things are starting to change a little bit, because obviously this weekend's a great example where you got Zach Parker versus John Ryder, which you could argue is the biggest fight cross-promotional platform of the year.
Yeah, you could say that. That's obviously down to George Warren, isn't it?
It doesn't matter, does it? Really, who it is?
Well, it does, because up until now, it's all been Eddie and Frank, and they don't get on, which is why the promotions never got made. So you now got George Warren involved, and you've got
Frank Smith.
Frank Smith. They seem to be doing the cross promotion deals because there's no ego involved. That's why they're getting made. Anyway, back to the boxer card. Lerone Richards, Zach Chelli. Can one of you two answer me a question? What's happened to Lerone Richards' IBO title?
I vacated it. Vacated it, yeah.
For what reason?
The only bit I read is that he said it wasn't a mainstream world title and he wanted to pursue a mainstream world title, is what I read.
Does that make any sense to you two?
Well, to be fair, we didn't give the IBO much credit when Eubank held it, did we?
No, I'm not saying it's not one of the top four, is it? It's not one of the big four, but that's got to give him a little bit of bargaining to make bigger fights.
I'm just going to pick some comments up on the side. So Joe says, big fights trump world titles in my opinion. Joe goes on to say, DAZN didn't release any viewing numbers on Taylor Serrano. He also says, Shalom's made some mistakes, but he's doing okay. Yeah. The jury's still out for me on Shalom on the male side of the game.
Ryan's said something quite smart there. He's talking about the IBO title being vacated, and he's saying he's vacated it to fight superstar Zach Chelli.
Yeah, he's only on a one-fight deal with Boxer. So
it's quite a good point, though, Carl. I rate Lerone Richards. He's much, much better than this level. Much, much better than this level, by all accounts. And we've had his management team on. By all accounts, it's very difficult to make fights for him.
Well, the word's avoided, Andy. That's what Shane Watson said.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to fight Lerone Richards. I agree with what Joe says to some degree. He's a hard watch. I'd imagine he's very skillful and very difficult to matchmake. He's in the who needs him club at the minute until he gets into a mandatory position. So it's difficult. It's not a great division of super middleweight, is it? Take Canelo out the mix, and it's not like years gone by. So yeah, I'd assume he's in a bit of a predicament.
Feels like he's been left behind a little bit, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, well, obviously he was with Frank Warren, now he's with Boxer. Yeah. I
mean, you've obviously got over on, and we'll talk about it next. Over on Frank Warren's Queensberry stable, you've got a huge British super middleweight fight headlining, which is for the mandatory spot for the WBO. And I would expect the winner gets Canelo next. So why is Lerone Richards not in that mix? That's the question that needs to be asked.
I think as well, when you talk about the IBO belt, I mean, look at Maxie Hughes, for example. I mean, Eddie Hearn said just the other day that he could be fighting Ryan Garcia, but before his big fight. So the IBO certainly has a bargaining chip. And, from the IBO champion, I think it's the English title they're fighting for, isn't it? I mean, that's some come down.
They've obviously got a tactic in the mix there. They must have a plan as to what they think they can do with Richards and why they've vacated it. Maybe the fact that he was that champion has made it difficult for him to get any shots with anyone that's in the top 10 of any of the ranking bodies. Maybe the fact that he was that champion has made it difficult for him to get any shots.
Lee, have you got YouTube on the background?
Top 10 of any of the ranking bodies. It's feeding back, mate.
Oh.
Swiftly moving. Okay, before we move on, let's get a prediction on the Lerone Richards Zach Chelli fight. We'll start with you, Sean.
I think Richards on points.
Carl?
Yeah, I've said before, Richards wins wide on points. So.
Lee?
Is this Lerone Richards fight you're talking
It
about?
is,
Yeah.
mate, yeah.
Oh yeah, Lerone Richards will school him, I think.
I actually think he stops Chelle. I think he's
Yeah.
levels above Chelle. I think he stops him in about round 8.
Is it still feeding back my one, or is it
No, it's
sorted?
all good now, mate. All good. Do you want to pick the comments up in the sidebar from Ryan, Cole?
Yep, so Ryan says fighting Zach Shelley ain't going to make matchmaking easier for Lerone Richards. And he goes on to say they obviously don't think he can do much with him. Zach Shelley, a regional fighter.
We'll see, won't we? We'll see what happens. Did you say this is just a one-fight deal?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's going to be a case of Harry performs then as to what happens with him and Boxer going forward.
Really? No, Boxer are going to sign him no matter how he performs.
Well, they should do. They should do, mate. It should be more than a one-fight deal, shouldn't it? He's a quality fighter, pal.
Obviously, they want to have a look at him, don't they? It's not rocket
Let's have a look at him. Well, I've never seen him before.
I think it's the other way round. I don't think it's Boxer looking at him. I think he's keeping his options open.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's in that fortunate position, Lee.
I think he's a
can't
big
see him
talent.
queuing up.
He's right. He's right up there, in my opinion, mate. As right
He's
up
with
there.
me, but what I'm saying is that obviously, if he had that many options, don't tell me we're taking a one-fight deal with Boxer, because I'm not wearing it. If he had that many options, he'll take a longer fight deal with another platform.
Guess time's going to tell.
Some
Moving
boxers
on.
only do go on a one by match contract, don't they?
Yeah, but normally they're more established, aren't they, Lee? With
I
bigger,
agree. Yeah.
bigger commercial, reach.
I think maybe for him, obviously, we don't know what's happened with Matchroom. Maybe he's just thinking that on it, need to get a fight out there, put my name back out there again, and then go from there. He probably knows in the back of his head he's going to put in a good performance, and Boxer will sign him. But at the same time, if he puts in a good performance, maybe Frank Warren comes in with a better offer or something like that. You don't know, do you?
I mean, just touch on Boxer again for a minute in terms of strategy. Sean, I was amazed to learn that Chris Billam-Smith's having another fight down at Bournemouth after the last ticket sales. It looked empty, even with a bit of jiggery poke on the old camera. You can still see there's empty seats there. So I'm amazed at taking him back down there again.
That was mainly for the Southampton lads for who was on after as well.
Wasn't the best attended fight, was it?
No. Which is a shame, because I'd like a few more fights down this way.
Right, BT card and under. Let me
Okay.
just sort this out.
So we'll start off with Sam Noakes is fighting Calvin McCourt for the vacant Commonwealth lightweight title. Oh, you've mentioned Sam before, haven't you?
Yeah, getting a push from BT. Listening to Warren today, they fancy him to go far in the sport. To be honest, I like Noakes. I've not seen much of Calvin McCord. 12-0. Doesn't know what it's like to be beat, which is always a dangerous fighter.
Yeah.
But I like Noakes. I like him. I think he looks a very skillful fighter. So I'm going to go Noakes on points.
Lee, you got anything to add on Sam Noakes?
I think he looks a good fighter of what I've seen of him. He certainly won Frank Warren. He's one of the ones that Frank Warren's going to keep rolling out on some undercards before he gets his shot at like a decent card. Like it probably headline a few York Hall cards. Yeah, he looks decent prospect, I think.
Another fighter getting a big push, Dennis McCann. Is Sean not going to get to give his opinion on that one then? Sean? Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I've got nothing more to add really, apart from what that's already said. Really, I agree with everything that they've mentioned.
That was worthwhile coming back for, wasn't it, Cole?
Nice to be asked though, Sean, isn't it?
Dennis, moving on. as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted. Dennis McCann is going in against Joe Ham for this. Seems to be this show seems to be the vacant Commonwealth title show, doesn't it? Dennis McCann for the vacant Commonwealth Bantam title against Joe Ham. Again, Dennis McCann's being pushed into what they think is going to be a massive fighter, but he's shown some real quality, Anti-Cole.
Yeah, I like McCann. Out of all the up and coming fighters, I think he's the one who may go the furthest in terms of world level. Yeah, Joe Ham really 17-3. He lost to Jack Bateson. I think Dennis McCann's levels above him, so I think McCann will take this kid out. I'll go round 4 because I think he can bag it that weight as well. So yeah, I'll go round 4, Dennis McCann. They're plotting his journey really carefully, aren't they? They're using the Conor Ben model, I think.
Yeah, the one that you love, you mean?
Yeah, let's give him 35 for he has meaningful one.
Sean, what's your opinions of how Dennis is progressing?
Yeah, I think he's progressing well so far. I guess he's the next big hope, isn't he? Apart from all their established fighters so far. So yeah, I think I'll be disappointed if he doesn't get a stoppage really in this fight.
So just before I come to you, Joe, Lee, Joe's comment in the sidebar. I've said it all along. Dennis McCann's overrated. He got beat once he starts stopping. Well, he'll get beat once he starts stepping up the levels.
Don't agree, Joe.
Lee, what do you think to that?
I think there's a bit. He's good, but yeah, I think there has been a little bit too much smoke blown up him in terms of like saying he's like gonna follow the Conor Ben model and all of that. I think again we spoke earlier about levels. I'm not sure he's at that level. I think he's going to be a domestic card fight. I don't see him world level at all.
Okay, moving on. Another vacant Commonwealth title. Hamza Shiraz against River Wilson Bent. This is going to be an interesting fight because I don't think Hamza Shiraz is all that. In my opinion, he was getting schooled by Bradley Skeet until he hit Bradley Skeet when he was on the floor. That fight should have been a disqualification, not a win for Hamza Shiraz. It was disgraceful the way they treated Bradley Skeet. He never got sorted out properly. So just off the back of that, I'm hoping to see River Wilson Bent put it on him and see what he's made of, because I don't think it, other than the Bradley Skeet fight, I don't think it's happened. I don't think he's been troubled. He's very big for the weight, though, isn't he? And I don't think he can hang around at that weight for too long. Carl, what's your opinions on Hamza Shiraz?
Yeah, I agree with you, Bradley Skeet analogy. I think the way that was handled on the night was nothing short of a disgrace and an insult to Bradley Skeet, who's served boxing as well as he has. You're right when you say, I think he's about 6'3", 6'4", isn't there?
Very big.
So he ain't hanging around middleweight long. And to listen to him today, he's been jumping in with light heavyweights over in the States and sparring because they've been doing it on height rather than weight. Listen, he's not really had a meaningful fight since Bradley Skeet, in my view, who shouldn't have been a meaningful fight, but turned out to be. So I think he's being protected by Queensbury Promotions. They clear he's a ticket seller. I think he'll go through this guy, I think. But that middleweight division, if he does hang around, is a killer division. So he can't, once he goes up through them levels, people are going to be skillful enough to take that height advantage away from him. And he don't like it to the body, does he? He
You
doesn't
don't
like
think
it
River
to
Wilson
bother.
Bent's going to trouble him then, Carl?
Say again.
You don't think River Wilson Bent's going to trouble him?
No, I just think until he gets to a fringe world level, I think he'll just keep going through people. I think he's got a decent pop on him, Shiraz, to be honest. But I think there's a lot of body there to be hit. So once he gets in with a good sharp body puncher, he could be in trouble. But you got to get around that jab. That's any trouble.
Lee, how do you see the fight going?
I don't know enough about Bent, really, if I'm being perfectly honest. So,
Well, he's only been beat once. He's only been beat once to Tyler Denny, who just recently beat Bradley Ray. So that gives you an idea of the level.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd imagine Shiraz gets through it.
I think he's going to give Shiraz a lot of trouble. It'll be his toughest fight to date, apart from the Bradley Skeet fight.
The trouble is with Ben, from what I watched today, you don't have to go looking for him. So it's whether Ben can get around that jab. I just think Shiraz will probably jab his head off.
Sean?
Yeah, I think with Shiraz, he tends to be sort of a boring fighter, you know. Someone who I think they should look to put him in if he comes through is a Anthony Fowler, someone like that who people know. But because ultimately, if they want him to be the fighter that they think he is, he needs to fight people that everyone knows who the opponents are. And I think that's the downside with Frank Warren in general and who he matches his fighters with, really.
Yeah. I'll pick a comment up on the side. So Joe says, good trade fight, probably end up a bit scrapper. Bent's too easy to hit. It's a late KO for Shiraz.
Okay. Moving swiftly on to what I believe is the fight of the weekend. This is going to be a real humdinger, mate. Zach Parker, who's currently sat at number 1 in the WBO super middleweight rankings, is fighting John Ryder, as we know. Frustrating year for Zach Parker. He fought this time last year. His last fight was against Marcus Morrison, who he destroyed, by the way, in better fashion than anybody else, including Eubank Jr. And then there's been this massive fiasco for him with Demetrius Andre pulling out of the fight twice, and other people not wanting to take the fight. I've had it on good authority from Neil Marsh, who we've had on the channel. By the way, for anyone watching this stream tonight, if you've not seen that interview that I did with Neil Marsh, it's well worth a watch. He don't hold back about a lot of things to do with Zach Parker, about a lot of things to do with David Avanesian and previous promoters for David Avanesian. Definitely worth watching if you haven't seen it. Anyway, back to Zach Parker. I think Zach Parker is very underrated. I don't think he's been given the limelight he deserves for his talent. And I think you're going to see on Saturday night just how good he is. John Ryder's no pushover, by the way. No. But Lee, is John Ryder coming to the tail end of his career now?
Well, I'll say something controversial. I don't think he beat Daniel Jacobs for me. I thought Daniel Jacobs won that fight, but sometimes they go that way, don't they? But yeah, he's definitely come towards the end of his career. And I do think Zach Parker's going to win, but it is a great fight.
Brilliant fight.
I love that fight. As soon as it was made, I thought that's a brilliant fight. Good to see Matchroom and Queensbury able to get that together as well. And
it's exactly what Zach Parker needs to build his profile, isn't it? A real top end English fight.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they've gone and put that on at the O2 and it's competing against a Dylan White, which obviously they wouldn't have known at the time, but
yeah,
that says it all it needs to say about what a good domestic fight that is.
It's a shame. It's going against another big card because it deserves the full focus and it's not going to get it.
No.
Obviously, the country's going to be split, which means he's probably not going to do massive numbers. The numbers it deserves to do.
Timing wise, they reckon it is going to fall after the Dillian White fight. They don't know.
Yeah, BT tend to go later, don't they?
Mm.
So what you might find is people switching over, which would be great if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't think the Queensbury card will get much viewership. I think people will be tuning into the DAZN one, but yeah, I'll certainly be switching over after the Dillian White fight to watch.
I was actually going to say, mate, I'll be watching the DAZN card up until Zach Parker's ring entrance.
Yeah,
and then I'll be turning over, regardless of where the Dillian White fight's at.
I think it'll be after anyway, but yeah, I'd agree with that.
It's a much better fight than the Dillian White fight. Much better.
Oh yeah, yes, it's a great fight.
Sean, what's your opinions of Zach Parker's progress in the super middleweight division so far, and has he been given the props he deserves for his level of fighting?
Yeah, I tend to think it's been a sort of slow progress with him because he was with the Wassermans for a while, wasn't it? And he never really developed. And then since he's been with Frank Warren, he's sort of had a gradual start up. But I actually think John Ryder will win on points. I think with John Ryder, every time his career is in question, and not all the time he's up against it, he seems to put out a result. And, there isn't too much confidence in me saying that. I'm just going on sort of previous performances and what history tells me. But I think with Parker, he's certainly one to watch, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wins. But I think just going with experience and what Ryder's done so far in his career, I suspect he'll win on points quite narrow.
Are you taking confidence from the Callum Smith fight?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's certainly one in particular where he was up against it, wasn't he? And I guess at that point in his career, it was win or butter him. And depending on who you ask, he won that fight. So I think that's certainly one you can take into account. But I think given this point in his career and where he's at, he really can't afford the loss.
I mean, a couple of things from me. We don't really know how good Zach Parker is. You go through his resume, and there's a lot of names on there that people don't recognise. He's probably his best win, I'd argue, could be Bradley Price.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Morrison.
No,
Morrison,
it's not even Morris. It's not even Morrison.
If them two were to fight at the time, would there be much in that?
No,
in
not
what, sorry.
So, that's where I'm coming from. So maybe Morrison, Price, but it's a flick of a coin.
No, we know there's been other fighters on his record that should have given him a lot better rounds than he did. For example, Vaughan Alexander. He's not been. Hold on a minute. Let me finish. He's a fighter. He's a fighter that's not been stopped. He gets destroyed.
Would he beat John Ryder? Would he beat John Ryder?
Probably not. But John Ryder wouldn't do to him what
I'm saying is, he hasn't been in with anyone on John Ryder. All I'm trying to do is play devil's advocate. So I can see. I think this is his toughest night in his career. John Ryder.
It is. Yeah. I agree there. It is. Yeah.
John Ryder's going to come to win, obviously, and I just think up to now, Zach Parker's resume isn't the greatest, and that's me just being honest. So I still think Zach Parker's going to win, but he's in for a tough night this weekend because he ain't going anywhere anytime quick, John Ryder, is it?
I think
that's a good fight, isn't it? We know they're going to both go for it, don't we?
John Ryder's been in with the better caliber of fighters. There's no two ways about that. The likes of Callum Smith, Danny Jacobs, Rocky Fielding, even Nick Blackwell. Who's the only person to stop John Ryder? Who's the only person to stop John Ryder, by the way? Nick Blackwell. He's definitely been in with the better caliber of opponent, and he's definitely by far Zach Parker's toughest fight. But it's not through want of trying from Parker.
Didn't he fight Billy Joe as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he fought Billy Joe.
Got beaten.
John Ryder, yeah.
John Ryder fought Billy Joe, didn't he? Yeah.
It's not through wanting to try and through Zach Parker's camp, though. By the way, they have tried to make certain.
But nobody's saying it is, are there? We're just saying what his opponent level's been. Nobody's saying that.
You've got to give context to that, though, won't you, Cole?
But all it is, just because we've interviewed his camp, can't mean we can't be objective about who he's for.
No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is
his opponents are not stellar names, and they're not
on the level of John. They're not on the level of John Ryder. You're right there. But
so he's going to get asked. All I'm saying is he's going to get asked questions this weekend that he's probably not been asked before.
You're right. Yeah, of course, he is. He is, and we'll see, won't we? We'll see if he's as good as we think he is, or potentially could be.
That's the same as anyone until they fought that person, though, isn't it?
You can only beat who's in front of you. Yeah. But he's not the only boxer in the world to try and get opponents into the ring in the fight.
Definitely, yeah.
Is this the first fighter Tony Sims have had boxing since the Conor Ben debacle?
It's level one. I don't know if he's had any other fights out.
Right.
I think this is a very, very close fight.
Do you think he won that Daniel Jacobs fight?
No.
No, nor do I.
No. But I think Zach Parker's going to take it. I'm even going to say possibly on a split decision. I think he's going to be that close. Nip and tuck.
Go along with that.
Sure.
So Joe's in the sidebar. Fantastic fight. Absolutely love it. The fight will be decided on Parker handling the come forward pressure of Ryder. Joe going to say, was it Parker who got the dodgy win over Darryl Williams?
Don't know. Is the answer?
He did fight Williams in November 18, so he could be right.
Sean, how do you see this fight? Give us a prediction.
Yeah, I think John Ryder will win narrowly on points.
I'm going to go Parker points, but it will be close. It will be close. This will go a long way to showing what he's about, really. You know, we all know the level of John Ryder and who he's been in with. Let's just see what happens with Parker.
I think they're both get knocked down.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I'll go along with Parker split.
Leah, do you wish you'd have your own opinions?
Do you want to go back to the Wardley Gorman one?
Carl, is there anything else you want to touch on?
Yes, so a couple of more topics this week before we bring it to a close. The next one, Lawrence Okolie. What is happening with Lawrence Okolie? You've got Eddie Hearn coming out saying one thing, Ben Shalom getting involved with a few little comments, and then Lawrence Okolie. So it seems to be this disagreement about he's got one fight left with DAZN. DAZN are threatening to take him to court allegedly. He's dropped Shane McGuigan as his trainer, is what's been said today on certain outlets. He's surrounded himself with a new team who maybe, according to some quarters, maybe not giving him the best advice.
Carl, firstly, do you know the background with the 258 situation? What happened there?
Nothing's been disclosed, but he's definitely left. It's been confirmed today that he has left 258. Like I've said, he's surrounded himself with a whole new management team. Now, there is suggestion, I'll say allegedly before this one, that Sky Sports and Boxer are keen to get Okolie to sign with them to make him the face of their boxing channel. I'm sure we've all heard that. So it's quite interesting because I think this will end up in the courts, but it's not great
straight away, there's some massive fights to be made on Sky, cruiserweight fights. Big nights, I mean, Lawrence Okolie's probably a little bit stale.
Well, the interesting thing from Eddie Hearn that he said during the interview today was that that Matchroom invested a lot of money into Okolie, and obviously not always broke even. So that's quite interesting because that would suggest, okay, what's his ticket sales look like?
You know what though? You know what though, mate? I don't like it when he's going to have his say, obviously, because he's been asked. But I don't like it when promoters come out and they say things like this about a fighter that they were pushing. If this wasn't the case, he wouldn't be saying if Lawrence Okolie got 4 fights left with him, he wouldn't be saying, "Oh, I'm making a loss on Lawrence Okolie fights."
Yeah, but if you brought your missus a diamond ring and then she went off with Sean down in Brighton, you'd be a bit miffed, wouldn't you? You'd invested all that money, and now they've turned around and they've benefited from your flourishing relationship. So what's happened with Okolie is
that's boxing, though, isn't it?
Matchroom built him up, made him into the name that he is, invested all the money into him, and now all of a sudden he's turned around and he's playing hardball.
Right,
we know why he's being pushed
Matchroom
as well.
And Matchroom never benefit from other promoters building fighters up before they take them on.
I think all promoters do that, don't they?
Exactly. So it swings and roundabouts. All I'm saying is, it's easy to come out and make them comments as a promoter when a fighter's leaving your stable. That's all I'm saying.
I don't really understand it from a contractual perspective because it must be there in writing.
Yeah.
You know, it shouldn't be hard to determine whether, you know, they've got 1 fight left or not. It's a bit like Lee when he does an invoice and when he puts 1 too many zeros on the invoice. It's all there, Lee, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Don't tell my customers that.
Allegedly, Lee. I don't fancy seeing you in court either.
Me,
But yeah,
we'll all be lining up, mate.
It's a very strange one, isn't it? And it's obviously left a bad taste in people's mouth because Matchroom. I can see it from both sides. Matchroom would argue that they've got him to a world title. They built him. Obviously, he played his part in that. But obviously, you got to remember the majority of Okolie's growth was during the Sky Sports days when they really were a powerhouse. And I think Eddie Hearn just feels like he's been let down a little bit, I would suggest.
The whole 258 thing as well, that's a bit... There's something funny's happened because for him to split from them as well, and now I hadn't heard the Shane McGuigan stuff, to be honest. I'm quite surprised by that. But if he's having a clean split from everyone, I think that tells you more about him than it does about everyone else.
That was just a rumour. I'll make that clear. There's a rumour on some boxing outlet today that he's also left Shane McGuigan. So, you know, that's a rumour.
Well, Shane McGuigan said that himself, though, hasn't he?
I'll
yeah.
Take that one.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be honest, don't we? I mean, Lawrence Okolie couldn't sell out a funfair, so I don't really see why he thinks he's some sort of...
He's put in so many boring, crap performances, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's not an attraction, is there? Boxing fans don't want to watch him.
Damn good fighter. Damn good fighter, but it's not great to watch. It's not pleasing on the eye.
No, he's very awkward. He's a very awkward fighter. And it just doesn't look good, does it? It's not exciting. He's been in way too many damn squids.
Yeah. I guess watch his face on Okolie. That's obviously.
I don't. It's one of them. I don't care about it.
So Joe says.
I think Joe is drinking rum or something tonight. Joe, what's going on, mate?
So Joe says Hearn is a disgrace. He's always said if a fighter wants to leave Matchroom, he can. Plus, he's always gone in on old fish eyes for the same thing. I can't think who you're talking about there. So we'll move on to the next topic. We'll keep an eye out for Okolie because I think it's going to warm up over the coming weeks. Because surely Okolie is going to want to get out eventually.
Well, he's turned down 3 fights, hasn't he? Because he doesn't want to fight for Matchroom anymore. So that's even more happening.
And if you don't fight, they don't get paid, Sean, do they? So
no, precisely, yeah.
So the final topic tonight, and Andy will have his little say on this one, no doubt. Tyson Fury versus Derek Chisora. The price has been set at $26.95. Is it worth it? So Andy, let's get your statement out of the way. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Very short and sweet. No.
Will you be paying for it, Andy?
Very short and sweet. No. And another one. Will I be watching it? Very short and sweet. No.
Well, I hope you adopt this approach on other questions that I ask you because it's quite refreshing. So, Sean, moving on to you. So, Sean, what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's a disgrace, if I'm being honest, really.
Do you accept the analogy that these fighters have to be paid a certain amount of money? They've got to make they've got to balance the books, blah 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 blah.
They'd have made more money in pay-per-view buys if this was cheaper.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in there? Can I just jump in there? I know it was short and sweet before, but I have to say something on that. You've just said the analogy of these fighters have to be paid a certain amount of money. Well, fight a level of fighter then, and you'll be paid a certain amount of money. I'm sorry. I'm a massive fan of Tyson Fury. He's the best heavyweight of this era by a long way. But this, I'm afraid, and it's just my opinion. It's not Last Spell Boxing's opinion. This fight is not a world title fight, mate. It might have been about 4 or 5 years ago, but Del Boy's not at that level now. This should not be for a world title fight, and it certainly shouldn't be pay-per-view.
I agree. You know, I think this is taking a limiter. That's how strong I'd say this is. Taking a liberty out of boxing fans. Nobody even asked for this fight. It's not like there's been a public outcry for this fight. So, and then you could, if it's AJ versus Fury, I don't like the price, but you'd go, okay, we appreciate the two biggest names in British boxing.
Cole, I'd pay £40 to watch AJ against Fury.
Yeah.
Because it's worthy of it.
It did make me smile today, though, when Eddie Earn, or it might have been Frank Smith, says, yeah, I think they should have set it at 20 quid. And I thought, you know, read what you say, because DAZN are the first to put the prices up.
They can't say no, can they? All pay-per-views dead, all pay-per-views dead. Oh, by the way, you're paying for Canelo. Oh, by the way, you're paying for AJ. Oh, by the way.
It just smacks that they're out of touch with the public, you know, at a time when there's cost of living apart from in Lee's ass. You know, everyone's suffering with cost of living. And they go and whack a price on like this.
Yeah, it's not great, mate. It's not great.
They try and justify it with the American market, though, don't they? That's the
Do you know the other thing? Do you know the other thing as well? If there was a stellar undercard with other 50-50 world title fights on it, then maybe more people would swallow the 26 quid.
Which you could argue Matchroom do that when
They do.
when AJ has a card at a stadium. There's always a good undercard, to be fair.
Certainly when he was on Sky, when they were with Sky, they used to have brilliant undercards, didn't they? We used to praise them all the time for it on this show.
Well, I think this weekend card's not a bad undercard, is it?
Yeah, it's a good card.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good card, mate. You know about the DAZN card?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good card. But I mean, I don't know what the full undercard is for Fury, but Daniel Dubois is fighting nobody, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who else is on? Anybody know?
No, I've not looked.
Not a clue. I've got no
I'll
interest.
say that.
So basically, they're trying to sell tickets for Wembley. They're trying to get people to buy £26.95 pay-per-view off of the back of just Tyson Fury's name.
Yeah, Tottenham. It's at Tottenham.
Sorry, Tottenham.
Bear in mind, England could be playing that night as well.
Wow. Off of the back of just Tyson Fury's name, it just doesn't. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair to the boxing public.
Right, last question for me, then I'm closing the show. And I'll go round. Ander, would you watch Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 4 if it plays out that way?
No.
WBC.
No. What's the point?
Would you, Sean?
No.
What about you, Lee?
No.
Interesting, because a lot of Facebook pages, people are saying they would watch it.
Why? You're getting the same result. Oh.
Yep. I mean, the only thing I would say is that, Wilder, for me, is probably right up there in the heavyweight division. I don't think many beat him. Fury beats him, but I don't think anyone else does.
But that don't justify a fourth fight, mate. If it
Well,
was,
it will happen though, won't it? If he beats
if it
Ruiz
was,
Jr.
Cole, if it was one
Would
fight
you not
each
go
and a
and watch
draw,
it in the UK?
if it was one fight each and a draw, and Deontay Wilder had knocked Tyson Fury out in that fight he won, as for argument's sake, then it's worth watching. It's the rubber, isn't it? It's the rubber match. But at the minute, you can argue Tyson Fury won all 3 fights.
It'll happen though, because
He could fight Chisora again after it as well, then, couldn't he?
He'll beat Ruiz Jr. though. Wilder will. So it'll be mandated.
Yeah, well, it's a complete pointless fight.
I would go and watch it live at Wembley.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think it would.
Not as a punter. I wouldn't. I wouldn't pay for it, mate. There's other fights out there Tyson Fury could be having.
He'd drop that WBC belt before he fought him again, I think.
I don't know. I don't know, mate.
Well, he's talking about 3 fights next year, isn't he? He's talking about he wants Joyce, Usyk, and whoever wins that WBC.
He does a lot of that, though, doesn't he? He does a lot of talking. He says a lot of things. Half of them are bollocks.
I think he'll jump in with Usyk, though, won't he?
I'm not convinced. I'm still not convinced the Usyk fight happens.
Yeah, I think it will.
I think it will.
It needs to happen. It needs to happen. It's been too long now since there's been an undisputed heavyweight champion. That has to happen before the belts get split.
I think if he comes through that Usyk and AJ comes through White, I think
the problem is though, haven't the IBF mandated Usyk and said he's got to fight next for that?
So Joe says the Gypsy King, Daniel Dubois, Isaac the Spellmaster Lowe. What's not to like? Get up, my son. That's a no from Joe, by the way. You don't give Wilder a 4th attempt at knocking you out. He could rob the mandated though. So
Wilder, it's been proven already that Wilder does not have the ring IQ to get close enough to Tyson Fury to. I know he did in that first fight with the heavy knockdown, the really heavy knockdown. But we're talking about a Tyson Fury that wasn't on his full peak then.
Wilder Joshua, I'd have a bit of that though.
Oh, that's a barnstormer.
I'd have a bit of that.
That's whoever lands first, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Wilder beats him.
I think Wilder beats AJ.
I've said that all along, yeah.
If Wilder lands on AJ don't get up because he's not got the best of chins anyway.
He's not looked the same since he's been caught.
He's not looked the same since Klitschko.
Terrified of that's what I mean. Since he got caught against Klitschko, he looks terrified of taking a punch.
He is, and that's why he's not aggressive anymore. Lee.
No. So on that note, I'm going to bring this week's show to an end. Lee, appreciate your input, fella. We'll phone you, don't you phone us. Sean, thank you very much for turning up, fella. Much appreciated. Andy, I'll let you take us out. You might want to give a plug for Saturday night. We don't know how we're playing it yet, but we could well be jumping on, couldn't we? I think.
Firstly, Lee, I'd like to apologise for Cole's rude behaviour.
Don't apologise on my behalf.
Sean, it's been great having you on again, mate, as always. Thanks to everyone in the sidebar. Brilliant comments. We get a lot of locals, a lot of regulars come on, which is fantastic. And it's good to have you on all the time. Yeah, potentially, depending on which card we decide to watch between us, we may do a live after the end of. I'm guessing the Zach Parker John Ryder fight will probably finish later than the DAZN show. It generally does. So we may end up jumping on. So watch out on all the socials for the link coming live, and jump on if you can. It's always a bit of fun once we've had a couple of beers, and we generally get a few Americans joining us, don't we?
Well, you call me, I won't call you.
Yeah, I don't drink anymore.
He says, with a beer in his hand.
It's apple juice, honestly, apple juice.
Yeah, because apple juice creates froth, don't it? Anyway, again, thanks to everybody for joining. We do this show every week, 7 o'clock. Join us next week.